Well, as I sit here, I'm out in the shop. The coronavirus is in full tilt, or actually, it's actually just starting to ramp up. New York City just announced a total lockdown, and so did California. Here in Maine, we're sheltering in place and being very careful since my wife and I are both 65. But we're doing fine. We have a really nice place to shelter in place. So anyway. A lot of time on my hands, even though I usually do too. But we're not going out anymore as much or anything. So I thought I'd come out here and make another bait. You may or may not be in the mood to watch this video. That's totally your choice. But I'm in the mood to do something, and I really enjoy putting the video together afterwards, which takes a good amount of time. But it's a process that I really enjoy. So I'm going to do this, post it, and for anybody who wants to watch it, go for it. This is going to be a swim bait, and it's going to be a swim bait that just barely sinks and has no bill on it, and it's going to be kind of a trout pattern, I think. So I've started off drawing a line. It's about 4¼ inches. Again, I'd like to make some really big baits. It'd be a lot easier to work on, a lot easier to carve, a lot easier to handle. But in the lake I swim at, you got to keep them a little small because they just don't grow that big here. So let's see. Let's try to sketch. And we'll have the eye right about here, and we'll make a kind of a sweeping gill plate. Yes, that's it. And I think, just thought of this, I think I'll make this segmented. I haven't made a segmented swim bait before with metal hardware. I use one with cloth hardware. So we'll segment it right about there. Okay, let's go for it. There. And so that I can keep my pattern, I think I'll trace another one and cut it out. Be back with you in a minute. And there it is. A pattern and a copy of the pattern. Now to put it on some wood. The bait has a taper to it, but not a strong one. I want it to be fairly flat-sided so that it will have a wiggle. So, let's go get the taper done on the sander. So, this is where the line for the cut will be with a segment, and there is the angle that I will cut. And I'll do that on the scroll saw, I think. And I did not cut all the way through because I still have to carve this bait. After I've done that, I'll finish the cut. New blade. Nothing like a new blade. Okay. Let's see what damage we can do here. Wow, we've got eyes, we've got holes for the weight, and we have two sections. They came out pretty good. So, now I need to drill some holes for the hinge and the hooks and the line. I've got the eye loops made, including the ones for the hinges. One of these side will go into the front end of the bait, and the other one will go into the back end of the bait, and hopefully provide a good hinge point. And I've got the eye loops made for the hooks. These I tried to get the holes as small as possible. The other ones are a little bit larger. Time to dip them in a little sealer. And then that will be it. For today. And there they are. Till tomorrow. It's time to put the lead into the bottom of these baits, and I'm heating up the torch right now, or heating up the lead rather than the torch. I just filled the lead holes with baking soda and super glue, and now I'm filing off the excess here. Little UV resin, and I always like to actually not seal it with UV resin. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing with it is just giving it a coat over the top. And what that does is smooths out some of the roughness on the wood and the file marks. It acts a little bit like a filler and gives me a nice smooth coat to start painting on. And we'll put it for a few minutes in the curing chamber. 20 should be more than enough. I've taken some holographic paper and put it on the end of these screws. I'm going to make some eyes with it. I think the eyes are going to be red with I'm going to put a yellow background on first, an opaque yellow background on it. And then put red on top of that. And then of course the pupil. Using a Q-tip for this because it actually seems to work better than a brush. And some red. Now, very carefully, a drop of resin on each eye. And then, without stirring them, well, today I want to just take care of some odds and ends. One thing I want to do is I want to finish up this lure, which I started a while back. And then I have a couple of alterations and repairs to make on these two lures. I'll get to those in a little while. And I hopefully will be able to try out some new super glue, some CA glue, which is highly recommended. It's very thin and it's a big bottle compared to those tiny tubes I've been using, so I'm looking forward to that. And instead of getting the epoxy to fill holes and sort of using the ones with the two plunger things that look like syringes, I finally get some of this quick dry stuff in bottles, and I think that'll be a lot better. It'll be a lot better as far as getting the nozzle not to clog up and so forth. And it's supposed to be very, very quick drying, which is really what I want for my purposes. So I'm going to get going, except I have to clean this shop up. I've been working on various things, my electric trolling motors on my boat and so forth, and what a mess. So it's going to take me a little while to get this going, and then I'll get busy with these lures. It is truly amazing how much of a mess you can make in a short period of time. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is repair this lure. This lure dives really deep. I mean, it goes down 10, 12 feet because my depth finder once said 12 feet, and I went over that spot as I was trolling, and I was dragging bottom. I was hitting bottom. Anyway, as I was taking, I use a snap swivel on these. Not a swivel, but a snap connector. And as I was taking this off, I bent the lip and it cracked right up against. I don't know if you can see the crack. It's right up against the nose, right, really close. And I think what happened is that let's see, I have several pieces of this plexiglass or polycarbonate, and I use some of this, and I think this is acrylic, which is brittle. And this is the polycarbonate, which you can almost tie into a knot and it won't break. And I think I use the acrylic. I just picked up what was thin and put it in without thinking. So I am not going to replace it because that would mean taking this off along with the wire tie that's glued in. sawing a slot again where the old one is, and then redoing it, and then gluing it in, and then putting some more finish over it, some UV resin. So it broke, and it did actually come off, but when I fit it back in place, it fit back with like a tight, the crack just seals itself. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try some of that new epoxy, and I'm going to paint it along the bottom side of this, and I'm actually going to build up a little ridge or a little layer, like when you buy the pre-made plastic floors, the bill kind of gets thick as it goes towards the body. I'm going to do that just for this, and then I'm going to be careful of this from then on when I go to handle it. I have this 5-minute epoxy, which like I said before, I am hoping to use and I'm not going to hang that up. I'm going to put it someplace and let it rest like that, so that the epoxy will just kind of like stay level. My next goal today is this little lure that I really kind of like. It goes pretty good, but it's got a kind of a roll to it, too much, and if I pull it really fast, it rolls fast. I'd rather have it just flitter. I'm not sure exactly what it is, because it's a heavy lure. I've got it, weighted. It's made of maple, and it's, it's supposed to sink. I think I'm going to start off by taking and putting another tie loop from here down towards the front more. I think that might help. And if it doesn't, then I will probably put a very small bill in here to try to give it a little more stability. So what I am going to do off camera, because you've seen me do this before, is I'm going to go make the wire loop, and then I'm going to drill the hole. Then I'll be back. Well, I've got the eye loop made and ready to put on the bait. Took me about 5 minutes, and this epoxy is supposed to be 5 minutes, and sure enough, it is. It's hard. Let that dry. I'll leave that one up there for the moment. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. I could always cut it off later if I need to. This is a nice little bait. Very simple paint job. Didn't take long to do, and came out nice. I think we'll start out with some pearl. I was going to do a trout pattern on this. Let's just do a kind of a simple shad pattern, I think. And we'll come back to the silver eventually, but right now I want to do a little black along the back, not too far down. I have my scale pattern on here. It's actually a bathroom loofah, one of those scrubby things you have. And I am going to do another coating of silver for the scale pattern. A little bit of pearl white on the underbelly. This is fluorescent orange. Fluorescent blue. I'm down to my seconds. I need to make a new batch of eyes. Okay. A little bit of super glue. Well, I think we're about ready to put some resin on. Well, I put the resin on, and it's in the curing chamber. The bill on this is epoxy back in place. Let's hope it holds. And on this cute little bait, I've got a new eye loop on the front of it, and I'm curious to go try it out. So I think I will clean up here. Got to clean my airbrush, pick up a little bit, and I'm going to go do that. See you in a minute. Well, I'm back, and both lures that I fixed worked okay. The one that I fixed the bill on is back to normal. It's a good lure. It's a nice deep diving lure. It's good action. The other one, putting the tie closer to the front, gave it even more unstable action. So it's not bad on the top. It's just when it goes through, sometimes it'll wobble too much to the side, which I don't like, depending on if I go too fast. So something to do with the weighting on that. But I'm working up to getting something, to making something that'll let me test my lures. I mean, really test them as if they were being cast in the shop before I finish them up, so I could change the weighting on them if I wanted to. But that's in another video.